We're going to go a little bit long today. This is, I guess, our formal chance as a website to memorialize our colleague and dear friend, Abbey Subhan, who passed away about a week ago. It's December 29th. It has been a profound hit to all of us because, like I said, we've all been together as a staff now for quite a while. And, some of us more than others. And Abbey was with us for nearly 11 years, first as a independent contractor contributor, and then eventually being with us full time. And I think we all grew from knowing Abbey professionally and personally. And, we could talk hours about this guy. And we're not going to be able to do that here, but I want to offer everyone on our staff, an opportunity to talk about Abbey. But I do want to point you one more time to Mike Bohn's podcast, The Bonfire. Him and a lot of the other colleagues that we have outside of MMA Junkie, they just told some great stories about Abbey and how they met him, what he added to their lives, and I thought it was beautiful. Mike, I told you this pre-show, but I tell you this publicly. It was very, very well done, and I know you were very tight with him in many ways, business partners, colleagues, friends, and I believe if I heard it right, you're a godfather to possibly to one of his kids.
Yeah.
And I want to name off his kids. He had 4 kids: Loverly, Marley, Omari, and Santino. And then his wife, Charlotte, who's his widow. Our most profound condolences to you all on that loss. I'm sure it's touching you even more than us, but it really, really has hurt us as a team. I don't think any of us have been right for the last 2 weeks. And what's keeping us going is that Abbey would want us to keep going. He was a cheerleader to all of us individually and helped us all grow. Like I say, not just professionally, but as people. He was positive energy, and I have not heard one bad word about him. And I'm not just saying, since his passing. I'm talking about in the 11 years I met him, no one ever said anything about, well, he was, he had a bad temper this past weekend or anything like that. If anything, he was just a joy, a complete joy to be around. I wish I had been around him more than some of the teammates that got to meet him before I did, or just had more travels with him. All right. So let's bring in Nolan King first. And thank you, Nolan and Matt Wells, for joining us. Nolan, can you talk a little bit about Abbey Subhan?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was the best, and I think for all of us that are in this industry, like you said, George, there was nobody in the wake of his passing who had nothing but everybody had glowing things to say, right? We saw the tributes pour out online, and a lot of them were from media members, right? Because I think as a video editor, you're behind the scenes, you're not on camera. But for Abbey, like, he was so okay not being the main character, right? I think that goes for the workplace too. Like, he was always somebody that was more willing to make you the main character, to make whoever he was talking about feel like the main character. And I know, I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of themes over and over again here about what a great guy he was. But I figure maybe to just kind of give an example, like when I joined Junkie, he was probably one of the only people that I had not had any sort of past interaction with, right? And we had done, I believe it was like 25 fighters for the 25 years of the UFC. And we had done narrated videos, and one of them was Jose Aldo for me. And my first interaction with him was like, I got a message from him like, dude. And I was like, oh no, like, what did I do wrong? Like, new guy on staff. And he was like, you're so good at this. You're so good at being on camera. And at the time, it was the thing I was the most nervous about. I had no past experience doing it. And he made me feel special in that moment and confident to keep doing it. And there were just all sorts of like little things like that when you look back, right? Like things you probably didn't even think about at the time, but just ways that he was willing to kind of boost somebody up, right? And he was so creative, and he was so good at what he did. Like, he was like AI before AI, right? Some of the stuff he would come up with in a short amount of time, whether it was a graphic or, some of the little documentaries that he did with all the people on staff. He was just so creative. And I felt like we had so much more to do. He was always trying to, let's do some cool stuff, Noli, let's do some cool stuff. And that's the other thing I keep thinking about is he was somebody that brought our nicknames from Slack to life too. I can still hear him saying GG and Cy and Noli. So just a fantastic person, somebody that I think we're all just super lucky to have met, and somebody that we're going to miss a lot. But I think, he would want us to keep on doing what we're doing. And he's going to be somebody that's always kind of with me as I continue to navigate through my junkie days.
Mm-hmm. Great stuff, Nolan. Matt Wells, one of our editors, thanks for joining us here on the show. Can you tell us about your interactions with Abbey and what he meant to you?
Yeah, for me, man, he meant a lot of like what Nolan was just saying. Like he was always super supportive in Slack, particularly because that's where majority of our interactions took place. And a few times, like in the green room here on SBC and on other shows, he was always super supportive. One of the most creative dudes I've come across in this space, and that can't be understated, man. And you see that from all of the little touches, like kind of like what Nolan was touching on, those video packages that we've done, the video projects, the graphics, little things like from the animated GIFs that you see on the website for SBC and whatever have you. His touches are just all over MMA Junkie, man, and it's just super creative. Very humble dude, man. I don't know if anybody could say a bad thing about him on staff or elsewhere. My only regret is that I didn't get to actually meet him in person, man. Everything was, like I said, in Slack and in here in these green rooms. But you still get a feel for how good a person he is, man. And in our personal, our DM interactions and the few times we spoke in private on video chats were always super positive, super encouraging. I loved collaborating with him on said projects. We were just doing the Remember When series, and we got one of those out. And unfortunately, I don't think the other ones will make the light of day. But man, it was just always fun working with him, submitting my voiceovers to him and getting that feedback, and then us playing ideas back and forth about what should be included and how it should look and all that kind of stuff. Man, I'll miss that stuff. And obviously, he leaves behind, a beautiful family as well. And a lot of this has been like super hard to process, man, because I just lost my aunt, who helped raise me as well, like within the same week. So it's just been like a whirlwind of emotions for me, man. From my personal family side, and then one of the coolest dudes to get to work with as well is gone now. So it's just, it sucks, but I mean, we have a lot of good memories, to help him live on. So it's a great loss, man, not only for Junkie but for the industry as a whole, because one of the most creative minds that we had available to us is no longer with us.
Well, Matt, I extend my condolences on the personal side, and thank you for that beautiful tribute for Abbey. But yeah, it has been a hard month for a lot of us. Dan, welcome to the show. I do obviously want to hear from you. You've had so many great things to say about Abbey. You were with Goes and I and Kenny the other day. But we've also queued up something from Farah Hanoun, one of our colleagues. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to come to you, Dan. So let's hear from Farah Hanoun, one of our colleagues here at MMA Junkie, who worked very closely with Abbey.
Abbey was more than just a teammate, a colleague. He was a friend, and he was a brother to me. I'll never forget when he messaged me the day I joined MMA Junkie, expressing how excited he was to have me on the team. And ever since then, he's been nothing but supportive towards me in my career. I remember he predicted that I'd once be nominated for Journalist of the Year, which I've never fulfilled, but I do hope to fulfill for him one day. This has been more than difficult. This has been very, very tough to deal with, not for me just personally, but the whole team at MMA Junkie, the whole MMA community in general. Abbey was there for everybody. He brought us all together. Anybody who's covered an event with Abbey, whether in London, the US, Paris, wherever it may have been, they know that Abbey was the guy that brought us all together, made us all feel like the entire MMA media were all one team, because that's just who he was. He wanted the best for everyone. He pushed and promoted everyone. I know he did me all the time. We had so many projects in the works for 2026, which I hope to fulfill. I hope I can honor him in that way and make sure that this year is my best year yet, because I know that's what he would have wanted for me. I'll never forget from our first Bellator trip, 2022. That was my first event I covered with Abbey, and we got to cover MVP's fight with Logan Storley. We got great backstage access, and that was just such a great way to kick off my working relationship with Abbey. And we went on to do some really cool things in London, in Paris, and I was looking forward to so much more. He was so excited to cover an Abu Dhabi trip with me, which we wanted to do in 2025, didn't get the opportunity, and it really upsets me that we won't get the opportunity to do it this year. But all the stuff, all the projects that we worked on and the things that we plan on working on, I hope that I can fulfill his legacy, and I hope I get those done. I'm never going to be able to portray them the way he would have, but I really hope that I can make him proud. You know, he pushed me all the time for overreaction time, you know, pushed me to use my prop, get the ball rolling. So that's going to be my goal for 2026, is to get the ball rolling on things and make sure that everything that we talked about, I make happen. So thank you, Abbey, always for everything that you've done for me and my career. I already miss you very much. Work will never be the same without you. Life will never be the same without you. But I just hope you knew how much we all loved you at MMA Junkie and how much you meant to me.
Powerful stuff there from our colleague Fada Hanoun. Dan, Tom, you've known Abbey for a long time because you've been with Junkie for a long time. Go ahead and put into words what Abbey meant to you.
Yeah, man, it feels tough to say. I just want to say that's hard to follow Fada there, and I think we sentiment with Fada as far as like, you know, awards are silly or whatever, but like how does this outlet or anybody from this outlet like not follow Fada sentiment there, and like as far as dedicating anything, you know, any successes we have to Abbey, you know, and paying tribute to him at least partly from here on out, right? And yeah, it feels weird for me to speak because I feel like I like maybe have like the less memories to pull from him. So like I'm not going to, you know, wax on too much as far as any of those go. But as far as my weird job goes, he was one of the people who I dealt with on the weekly, even if it was like a one-sided conversation. And I really feel Nolan, like, you know, because Abbey would always open like with dude, and especially with like my anxiety when I wake up to like a Slack message. I don't know about you guys. I'm like, oh crap, you know, what I do, you know, what I do wrong, or like was my audio off on the video or something. But a lot of times, like Nolan said, it was just the most, not just constructive feedback, which was ultimately helpful, but he was just such a freaking cool guy and nice guy, and just so much, you know, energy, and like, hey, let's get this done and let's get that done. He had that same energy with my stuff too, Nolan. And it's like, for as meticulous as I am, Abbey blew me out of the water, man. Like, you know, he would encourage me for like stuff like timestamps on certain techniques, and I'm such a nut that like I could do it, but it was so hard to do. And if you watch the breakdown videos, like it didn't matter if I submitted them or not. I barely ever did. And Abbey still found like the right hit points. If I made like a Happy Gilmore reference, he threw that in there. Like, yeah, man, he's going to be incredibly missed. He was an incredibly nice guy. And I'll just end it by saying this is that like, I made a tribute to a friend and colleague in this space. And I was saying how a lot of people, there's not a lot of people that'll lower ladders, much less reach you a hand up in this space. Most people will kind of pull up the ladder behind them, right? And you know, and I also said we need more ladder lowers than ladder pullers. And Abbey was more than a ladder lower. He helped you up that fucking thing any way he could. And yeah, we just like we need more ladder lowers, not pullers. We need more Abbeys, not less. So this is a, you know, obviously the biggest condolences to his family, but yeah, this is a loss to everybody here.
Thank you, Dan. Danny Segura, talk to us about, you know, your relationship with Abbey.
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything that everyone's saying. This has been extremely difficult for everyone here at MMA Junkie. And it's a big loss, obviously, for the team. I think for the MMA world as a whole, and for the world as a whole, really. He, above just being a good coworker and being skilled at his job, he was just a great human being. The dude was really good down to his core. And the MMA industry can sometimes be, from the outside looking in, like very glamorous, right? Like a lot of people can look at our jobs and be like, oh wow, that's so cool, and it is a cool job. I'm not complaining, but it is a difficult industry. It is a very cutthroat industry, and sometimes that like can bring out the worst in people in terms of lack of support, or just walls up, or defensively, or sometimes more. And Abby was completely immune to that. Abby always had a smile on his face, was always willing to help everyone, was always willing to support everyone. He was a massive team player, and just had the best vibes to him. And I unfortunately only got to see him once. I only met him once. That was our only interaction. Everything else was online. And we were always super cool online. But the day that I met him, which was covering the last UFC pay-per-view in Miami, we kind of had like a moment of like when, that high five of Arnold in Predator type thing. And he actually sent me a meme after that about that. It was like, it was like if this guy was a homie for me, of mine, of my entire life. And with Abby, you just felt instant trust, instant support, comfort. And I've said it in private conversations that we've had, that dude didn't have a single bad bone in him. Again, it's a huge loss. I'm extremely sad about everything. I'm glad and honored to have met him. He's a really good human being, and we're gonna miss him dearly. And I, in a way, like, I look up to him. I look up to his optimism, his outlook in life. He was a good man. And he will be missed again. And I know we've already mentioned the GoFundMe, and I've said this also on Twitter, but over at MMA Junkie, all this content that we bring you guys is completely free. It's completely free. We're not behind a paywall, nothing. And we are the best damn site, on the planet. And we work extremely hard to keep it that way. And he was a great reason why this site is the way it is, and how successful it is. So if you're kind enough, again, we've never asked for money. We're never behind a paywall, but if you feel so kind to give something to his GoFundMe and support him and his family, that would be greatly appreciated. Link is in the description, as well as in the chat. So love you, Abby. Miss you, and I wish his family all the best.
He definitely was a homie, man. I'm glad you said it like that, because he was a lot. He was, oh man, what a loss for us. Goes, how about you? Go ahead, and this is your time.
I mean, man, Abbey was the man. Mixed martial arts, it doesn't have the long history as some of the other sports, but it has a deep history with a lot of silent, unsung heroes, people who sacrificed a lot to make the sport what it is today. And Abbey wasn't just one of those people. He was part of the sports history, yeah, but he also helped shape it. He was an artist. And in this job, we can say what we say, we can write what we write, and we hope to make a difference. We hope to entertain you. That's our job at the end of the day. But Abby's job was to help make that connection. The things that we say, the things that we do connect to the audience. And basically he was the bridge, and he would take our words, our stories, and he would paint this picture that we just couldn't do on our own with our own words. His work is absolutely irreplaceable, and working on him with, same as you guys on some of these projects, it was amazing that he never asked you to be someone else or to do anything else. In fact, he was the guy that I always screamed, just be you. That's why I asked you to do this. Be you. And that's something that I'm always going to take with me, because it's hard to go wrong being yourself and doing things from the heart. And I think that's what he did. In our jobs, there's a lot of repetition. You know, you could easily fall into complacency, and Abbey was the guy that he always made sure that we never phoned things in. You know, he had this enthusiasm, it was so contagious, you know, and you felt like everything you were doing was the most important moment for the sport, you know, while you were recording and sending these messages. And he wanted MMA Junkie not just to be one of the best sites in the world, but the premier site. He was a great teammate, a proud family man, a great friend, and just a kind soul, man. I'll miss his presence, his light, most of all his friendship, you know. So thank you, Abbey, for making me look a lot better than I actually am. I love you, dude.
Junkie through and through. Mike, like I stated earlier, you've had a tribute show on Bonfire, but here with fellow junkies, talk about what Abbey meant to you, please.
Yeah, man. It's tough. Well, thank you to everyone for saying everything that's been said. I mean, it's everything reflects so strongly on the type of person that he is, and you know, it's what he did for all of us. You know, like, there's probably no one that's ever, even if they, you know, started right now just watching videos of me all day, that would probably spend as much time as Abbey did over the years, you know, editing my face or my voice on a screen. And I think, you know, what made him so special is, you know, people can love the sport. They can try to come into this field. They can have a skill set of writing or editing or production from somewhere else. But what makes the people who are the two true greats in this field is like it's second nature. You know, you can just give someone, you could give him a video or something or an idea, and he brings it into reality almost the exact way you explained it or envisioned it, or even better. And that's because of all the time he put in to just watching what we do, watching what the sport does and everything. And it just, you can't pull and learn some of the things that he knew how to do without just having that depth of knowledge and that experience. And it came across so strongly in his work. And, you know, so proud of him that he was able to get to that level, and just so sad that it doesn't get fully maximized what he brought to this space. It's a huge loss for us in so many ways. And, you know, personally, it just makes it so hard that, you know, like I lost another very good friend, like midway last year, in Jordan Breen, and kind of went through a lot of the same feelings and emotions. And the person that you had to lean on, at least for me in that moment, was Abbey. He helped me put together a tribute show for Jordan, and, you know, just talk through all the difficult days. And when something like this happens, like, he's the first person my natural instinct is to go to help deal with something like that. And having the person that you would go to deal with something like this be the one that, you know, is creating that whole situation, or their loss, you know, leads to that. It makes it all the more challenging to navigate something like that. And, you know, that's just for me. I can't even imagine his family and his kids and all that. So it's just so heartbreaking that he didn't get to, you know, live the full life that he should have and be with us for, you know, decades and decades more. And as much as it hurts us, we got to experience, a lot of us here, years and years of him, you know, being a colleague, seeing what he's capable of, not only as, you know, an editor and a creator, but as a man. And, you know, it breaks my heart that his kids, especially Santino and Omari, who are 5 and 1, aren't going to be able to have that from him as a father figure, as a man, and, you know, someone to look up to. And, you know, I hope one day, in however many years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, they can look back on that and hear the words we're saying about their father, and get a full picture of the type of person he was and how he impacted not only a space, but so many different people he worked alongside with. So I don't know. I could keep talking about him for so long. Those are just some things I guess I wanted to add on to what was said here. And yeah, we miss the guy so much, and it's going to be really hard, you know, even us putting all of our heads together to to reach the level of his one head that he could do and bring all the things to the site. So it's a huge loss personally, professionally, to all of us. So yeah, as I've said many times, miss the guy. I love him, and we'll be wishing the best for everyone around him. And yeah, please, as Danny said, if anyone's capable of donating, a penny, $1, or anything more, we don't ask for much here besides your time, your viewership. But if you're able, we do ask this one time, maybe reach into your wallet to support a great friend.
Great stuff, Mike. Beautiful tribute. And yes, those links will be included here on this episode of also it's been on the front page, so if you feel compelled, please donate or kindly share it maybe on your social media. We would appreciate that as well. Mike, like I told you, great tribute show that you did, and another one that was done was by our colleague Ken Hathaway, Cold Coffee, him and John Morgan on the MMA Roadshow. Man, it was outstanding. Those guys knew him very well, and I think they had a big role in helping bring Abbey to us and be full-time. So you should check that out, MMA Roadshow with John Morgan and Ken Hathaway. Those guys really, really poured their heart out. I could feel it. I know those guys loved them. I know Abbey loved them, and all of you guys as well. Let me read this one from our managing editor. This is from Simon Samano. We at MMA Junkie didn't just lose an amazing talent. We lost a truly remarkable human being with the sudden passing of our guy, Abbey Subhan. I started working with Abbey when I joined Junkie in February of 2017, and after all these years, I considered him a dear friend. He was incredibly creative, which reflected in his work and made me excited to do projects with him. When I took over as managing editor in August of 2018, it was under less than ideal circumstances, but Abbey believed in me and was ready to execute on stuff I wanted to. He had my back, and that never changed. I felt nothing but love and appreciation from him, and that grew beyond work over time. Abbey was just as solid as they come. The kind of guy who always had a positive outlook about everything. He had a coolness about him too that I'm not sure he realized completely. I always loved talking with him about movies and music and the golden era of pro wrestling. He was a big Ultimate Warrior fan. Abbey loved being a family man more than anything, though 45 is too young to go, but especially when you leave behind 4 kids and a loving wife. I hurt because I lost Abbey, my friend, but especially I'm devastated for his family. I will miss you, Kammakaze, but thank you. Truly blessed. You're part of my life. Rest in paradise, hermano. I think that's a fitting way to end the show, guys. And you've all said stuff maybe I couldn't even get out. An incredible human being, not just a colleague, a dear friend, a homie, like you guys phrased it. Like you really felt like he was someone you could lean on even outside of work, run something by him, or just share a common right? Like him and I both love English Premier Football, and I will toast that beer if Arsenal win it this year, because I was his squad and they're looking damn good. But we used to bust each other's chops on that, and I will always be thinking of Abbey, not just because of work, but what he meant to me outside of work. But anyway, that wraps up our show for today. And we thank you all for the kind words that you expressed to us individually, collectively. Anything that Junkies posted on social media, we've gotten some really, really great responses and beautiful tributes to our friend and colleague, Abbey Subhan. May he rest in peace. And again, our deepest condolences to Charlotte, Omari, Santino, Loverly, and Marley. It's an incredible loss for you guys and for us as well. And we grieve with you. We end our show today, like we always do, go out and be a champion in honor of Abbey. And Abbey, we love you. We miss you.